All right, brother. I know as we record this, things are a bit hectic for you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here, Pat. But yeah, definitely busy times. But I feel like there always are. So, yeah.
And as we record this, what just got released?
Age group semifinals for the old CrossFit Games track. Age group semifinal workouts dropped this week. So hopefully people are reviewing those thoroughly before the competition opens up. But probably by the time this publishes, we'll know the results and we'll see who's going to the games. So it'll be good
Oh,
times.
very cool. Okay, and with as hectic as it is, did you get to work out today?
Not yet, but I am planning on it. I'm going to do the CrossFit main site, which looks like a blast. 10
What is it
rounds,
today?
10 rounds, 10 cals on the bike, one legless rope climb.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. I did a good old nasty strength day today. I just did 3 max effort sets of front squat with 70% of your 1 rep max in the bar. Take like full recovery. I took like 4 minutes rest between each one of those. And then after you do those 3 max efforts at 70%, take a nice recovery, go ahead, drop the load to 50% and just send it for one final set. So,
Man, you are a big fan of those
oh,
nasty sets like that.
I don't know if I'd say I was a fan. They do what they're supposed to do, but it was dirty. So anyway, my legs are jumbly at the moment. It's all good. All right. We got a good question from the community, and I almost forgot to do the housekeeping and pay the bill, so I'll do that. We appreciate you, everybody. You want to help support the show? Go to variednotrandom.com. Check out all the different cycles that we offer. And cycles, if that's confusing wording, it's just basically like programs, templates, steps that you can follow to achieve certain goals, and they upload right to the btwb app. There's one like multiple week programs that walk you through getting your first strict pull-up, kipping bar muscle-up, strict ring muscle-up, push-ups, dips, handstand walks, all kinds of stuff. There's barbell capacity programs, there's running programs, there's jump rope capacity that teach you all kinds of stuff you can do with a jump rope. And so some really good stuff. So check those out. If you own a gym, any kind of gym, you've got to do all the stuff to keep the business up there and running. You got to track results so members actually know that it's working. Then you need to do billing and gym management, and btwb has all those things in one place and all in one for gym owners. If you're interested in that, go to btwb.com and set yourself up. So here is the question today from Sam C. I think Sam is short for Samantha, I'm guessing. Question for myself, a VNR listener, 30-year-old female. In essence, which one should I learn first? Strict or kipping? Bar muscle up or ring muscle up? So kind of two-part question. Should I choose ring muscle up or bar muscle up to focus on first? Should I choose strict or kipping first? I understand the usual principle is to have strict pull-ups before learning kipping pull-ups, and the same for handstand push-ups, for example, to ensure the requisite strength and minimize injury. Does this apply also for bar and ring muscle-ups? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the podcast. The jury is split. My head coach says learn kipping first, as strict muscle-ups are too hard. Although many women can do kipping bar muscle-ups, fewer can do strict bar muscle-ups. For reference, I'm 168 kilograms, which is about almost 150 pounds, 149 pounds. And I can do 8 strict pull-ups, 3 to 4 strict chest to bar pull-ups, and I can do 5 strict ring dips, but no muscle-ups of any form. What would you suggest to progress to be a locally competitive CrossFit athlete? So,
Great question.
yeah, and I don't know if it changes your answer at all. The last part she said that you're suggesting for somebody interested in being a locally competitive athlete.
No, it does not. Honestly, to me, that really doesn't make a difference at all. Because I don't know what that means, locally competitive. I don't know what the local competitive level is. I don't think it really matters. And for a skill like that, it's going to develop as you put the time into it. So your competitive aspirations, I don't know, they're kind of inconsequential in this regard, as far as I'm concerned. It's funny, like the older I get and the more that I think about progressions, there's these maxims that get thrown around, strict before kipping. And I'm like, I understand it. And yes, I still think that principle broadly is the right approach. But Man, I just think that these specific rules have got to go. In most cases, they don't really matter as far as like what is the quote unquote right way to do it. The right way to do it is to make sure that you've got a progression that you're following and that you're taking little chip away pieces of it, and you're not just trying to throw yourself into the final skill before you're ready. And it sounds like that's what's happening. This individual they demonstrated that they can do some of these strict movements. I think that's a pretty good bedrock that you should be able to do, because you want to be able to control these dynamic environments. That makes sense. But as far as what muscle up should I develop first, I think that will honestly be dictated to you, and it won't be something that you choose.
What do you mean?
Sorry, I lost the audio.
Oh no, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can't.
What do you mean it'll be something that you don't choose? It's kind of. What do you mean it'll be something that you don't choose? Is kind of dictated to you?
I mean that it's rare when somebody's working on a bar muscle up and a muscle up in tandem that they're like, well, I want to get the bar muscle up first. The only way that's going to happen is if you just don't focus on the other one at all. But it's often the case that you're working the skills on both of these, and surprise, one of them happens, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh
sure,
man, I got my first muscle up. It's not something that you can predict with absolute clarity unless you're deciding I'm only going to pursue one of them, which doesn't seem reasonable in my opinion.
I got a couple off the wall questions. Number one, did you violate this protocol? Did you develop a strict muscle up before you kipped? If you can rewind your clock back that far, or what did you do?
It's not a fair question, because muscle ups were something I did as a kid when I was doing gymnastics, and then I forgot about them. And then when I started doing CrossFit again, I was like, oh yeah, that's that thing, and I just did one. So
right, okay, all right, forget it.
Yeah, it's not really a fair question, because I had a prior exposure to this skill at a young age.
I did not. I kipped first, and I think not to use that old worn out phrase back in the day, but that was certainly a lot more common back in the day. And then after, I think like you said, the protocol, like, hey, it's out there. Does that mean it has to be this blanket statement that applies to every athlete on the face of the earth? No. But, then if you step back as to, there's usually a reason why some things came about. And so it didn't come out of thin air. So why did it suddenly, generally for most people, most circumstances, most of the time, get put out like, hey, everybody, it's probably a good idea if you try to develop the strict one first. Oh, that's because, and in my opinion anyway, CrossFitters, once they get down the kip, man, they can develop some really potent, explosive ability to propel themselves upwards. And that might get them onto the rings in a surprising fashion. And they might, once they're up there, not have developed like the strength to like stop on a dime, keep them close to the chest, maintain that deep dip position, and they just bloop, they keep going through, they panic, somebody holds on to a ring that they shouldn't, and there could be a bad outcome. And I think so the blanket statement was, well, that doesn't seem like we would like to avoid that for most people. So let's develop the strict strength first. So that, I think that is good framing as to just kind of where it came from.
I agree. And I'll also say that I think a lot of that came out of the level 1 seminar environment.
Oh, yeah.
That has been and still is the recommendation. And I think part of the reason for that is you just don't know the individuals that are put in front of you in that weekend seminar.
They get fired up.
Yeah, so in that context where, Pat, I've met you 12 hours ago or 24 hours ago, and you might tell me, oh yeah, I've got tons of experience stabilizing myself on the rings. I train with them all the time. I've been working on this for months. I don't know that to be a fact. I haven't been working with you that long, and so I'm going to be pretty conservative in my approach. Now, if I have been working with you for weeks and months, and this is something that we've been like developing together because I'm your coach and I've watched you go through the steps and I've seen you stabilize on top of the rings and do these support drills. I've seen you work through low ring progressions. I've seen you work on some of these other skills and drills that lead up and build the foundation of the movement. Yeah, I'm not going to have as much hesitation then to put you in a position where maybe a kipping is the first step to get on top of the rings. I don't think that's a problem at all. But the context is completely different. And I think that's what gets lost when people want to apply these. Kipping or strict, it's like, well, for who and when?
As we sit here right now today, Do you have either one of those strict? Do you have a strict bar muscle up or a strict ring muscle up?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yes
Oh,
to
just
both. Yeah.
I
Yes
don't
to
do.
both. The
I have to
strict bar
say
muscle up though is a pretty rare skill for a lot of people.
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't. I
Yeah.
know that I have a strict ring
It's
muscle
tough,
up.
man.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I have a strict bar muscle up. To be really honest with you, I think a strict ring muscle up is. I don't know if easier is the right term, but I'm going to use it. I think it's easier than a strict bar muscle up. I'm not quite sure.
It is. I'll give you 100%. The reason it is because you don't have something in the way.
Correct. You can
The
go
bar-
through the yes.
That's
100%.
right. The bar gets in your way. It's as simple as that. And so, yeah, if I had to answer the question in a totally linear fashion, and you came to me and said, Boz, you have to do it. Tell me what the order is that you should develop these skills. I would say strict ring muscle up first, kipping ring muscle up, then a bar muscle up with a kip, and then finally, last, and maybe it won't ever get there, is the strict bar. If I had to recommend an order for most people most of the time, that'd be the order. Now, that said, the distance between the strict and the kipping on the ring muscle up, it's probably a lot narrower than this absolute bright red line for exactly the reasons I talked about. If I have somebody who's experienced, that order might get reversed. But had to rank them, that would be my order.
I had the strict ring muscle up as first in my mind as well, as something to focus on. And I would tell Sam to focus. I'm sure between her and her coach, they're focusing on it in a whole bunch of great ways. But we just recently did a show like extolling the virtues. I think we didn't we? Have like ring rows and like low ring muscle ups and things like that. I mean, I would dive into that to get strong in that transition, strong into the pull and all that stuff. And this might be another thing I would say is, Sam, checking out what you wrote. You're very strong. It's impressive. You might also want to work on just like a chest to bar or like a chin over bar hold to see how long you can hold it there. 10, like a static, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, et cetera, et cetera. So you're not going to be shortchanged doing that. But the last thing you said about, your goal of you're progressing to become a locally competitive CrossFit athlete, that you probably have the potential to develop a kipping ring muscle up based upon everything else that you said far faster than you're going to develop your strict ring muscle up. And so that's going to slow down how fast you can get out there into the competitive scene, because you're not going to go out there and just do strict ring muscle ups and the competition goes up. But even I would say if it delays your progress or holds you back on some events that have that, I would delay that even if it hurts a little bit and give the time it needs to develop that strict ring muscle up first, if you wanted to know my honest assessment as well.
Yeah, I'm with that. And I'll say too, just on the practical end of things, for the same reason that the bar muscle up is often more difficult for people, is the reason you should learn the ring muscle up first. There's nothing in the way. It might seem like it's a more demanding skill because the rings are inherently a little less controllable than the bar. But you also don't have to navigate up and around this thing. You can get the feel for what the movement is much easier. For that reason too, I think the negative of the movement is something that you can explore and really get comfortable with the transition in reverse. That can really turn on a light bulb for people if they haven't, been playing with the muscle up or like they're really familiar with it. Because really that transition is the hardest part once you develop that base level of strength. It's just knowing where and when to be confidently that makes all the difference in the world.
What else you might want to check out? Why is the name, of course, Dave Durante, right? Remember we interviewed him? Mm-hmm. And he said something during that podcast that I really liked was, like a chest to bar pull-up or a chin over bar pull-up. And he was like, why stop at the chest? Like he's kind of said, he'll sometimes just try to do, I can't remember if he said a lower number of them, but he'll just pull as high as he can. Mm-hmm. And that is whatever that happens to be. And I think that it'd be another good thing to do for this, like even just some sets of one. Do one pull-up strict as high as you can, rest 30 seconds a minute, do another one, and just developing that strong, good, full pull, even through a deeper range of motion than you quote unquote would need in a competition or in a whatever. It's only going to serve you well on the bar muscle up and the ring muscle up, whether it's strict or kipping or whatnot. So everyone's going to benefit from more strict strength. So that would just be something else I would check out there as well. But yeah, and now you've got me curious, man. I almost feel like I need to walk out into the garage and see if I can do a strict
stricty?
bar. It's going to be weird, I'm sure, with the false grip on the
Yeah.
bar, right?
Yeah,
Ooh,
I mean,
that's
you
gonna be
can
tough.
do it with the false grip. You can get away without it, to your point, if you have a deep enough, confident enough pull up.
Oh
And that's
yeah,
the
I'm
real
sure. Do you
real kicker.
do you have to get a little bit of oomph there? Is it a little velocity but not a kip? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's been a while since I've done one. I'll report back. But no, typically I've been pretty good at the old stricties. But a lot of that too, I mean, I'll say also, it's not because I'm so, strong. It's because the positions are confident and I'm generally flexible in my upper body. That makes a huge difference. And I think that's another missing piece
I feel
to so many
triggered.
of these skills. Is that, yeah, if your positions are confident and you can move to those positions easily, you're not fighting yourself along the way, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, flexibility. No one's ever looked at me and said the guy's so limber. So I'm sure I'll have to be wildly inefficient to make something more difficult than it should be. But I'll also report back and see if I can do it, and maybe I'll run a camera for verification.
Yeah, there we go.
But okay, now hey, I got a skill to work on. But yeah, that would be my recommendation to Sam. So I don't think I got anything much else for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, the last thing I'll say is just, again, guidelines are exactly that. They are general principles that can be helpful if you're taking a road that you haven't walked down before, but that doesn't mean that it's the only path or that it's written in stone. The context around you as an athlete is way more illuminating than just what somebody, either Pat or myself for that matter, happened to say about a particular
100%.
topic. So, the context of all the other things that you're doing is going to help guide that progression more so than just some "I should do" line that exists out there in the training ecosphere.
Well, Sam, thank you for your question, and thank you for pitting us directly against your head coach. It's always good to build. It's always good to build bridges like that.
No, they said it was. She said it was split. So
Yeah, the
we're
jury was
agreeing with
split.
one of them at least.
But hey, everybody, just like we did with Sam, all of you out there drive the show. So you've got questions, you've got comments or thoughts. Find this episode on the BTWB YouTube channel. Post your thoughts on this topic, or do you have a question for an upcoming show? Leave them there. You can also do the same on the Varied Not Random Instagram account, or if you want to be a bit more anonymous, send a direct message to the Varied Not Random Instagram account, and all those things make their way towards us. So for Adrian Bosman, I'm Pat Sherwood, and we'll see you next time.